Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are, and welcome to our WandaVision stream on Nerd Nation. We're doing an entire season review. We'll be mainly talking, well, actually, we'll be talking a little bit about episode 9 very briefly before we talk about the whole season. I'm with my friends here. I've got cousin Cheeto. How you doing?
I am ready to milk this bad boy for all it's worth.
Me too, my son, me too. And we've got some old guests returning after a year now. We have Michelle. Nice to see you, Michelle. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Also known as Neff and Joe.
Neff and Joe. I'm sorry, I
Nope,
apologize.
that's okay. Either's
Neff and
fine.
Neff and Joe. Neff and Joe. And we also have Mondino. Welcome back, my son.
Pleasure to be here. Enjoy every
You know
time.
what? Fantastic. Now, Bob and I have already spoken about episode 9, but we haven't briefly spoken to you about it. So, Michelle, if you don't mind me asking, what did you think of episode 9? Anything that stuck out for you?
Scarlet Witch backlore and callbacks to the MCU of the Dark Hold and all that's always great. I always love MCU pulling everything together in little threads that are here and there. And when Vision got his memories back, you get all these flash scenes from the entire Marvel cinematic universe, everything, and that's always great. There were definitely a couple like, wait, what happened? Like, I'm sure we'll talk about the plot holes and such later, so I'll leave it at that for now.
Okay. Mondino, what about yourself?
I felt season episode 9, sorry, was a great little introduction to a formally what do you call it, Scarlet Witch, because up to now we've always said, oh, Wanda Maximoff is Scarlet Witch, but this is kind of her backstory as well as a few other people. So it was great to see like the full character kind of taking shape, should we say. I enjoyed it for that.
So I guess you're happy with the payoff for Scarlet Witch.
I mean, I found that the way it all concluded, like the battle sequence at the end, kind of felt a bit empty, but at the same time there was so much more to it than that battle between Agatha and Scarlet Witch that kind of made the whole thing better.
I mean, sorry, go on, Bob.
I just, why do you think it felt empty? Like, I'm curious because I felt the exact opposite. I felt it was better than like, and I loved Age of Ultron, but I could see where people say that fight was pretty empty because it was just like a mindless horde of robots, just, and the Avengers were fighting them. I felt this fight sequence was actually very full, like, to lack of a better term, but just full of just of meaning and payoffs and everything. So I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I felt the opposite. I just am curious why you felt that it was empty per se.
I suppose you kind of get used to there being a bit more action, whereas this is very cerebral. It was kind of a coming of age, and so from that perspective, it's just kind of like, I was expecting a little more pizzazz.
So you were expecting a Doctor Strange cameo?
Not necessarily a Doctor Strange cameo, but I kind of probably overestimated what they were going to give us when it came to Scarlet Witch's final embodiment, and it was more a matter. It was more cerebral. It was more, okay, I'm going to reverse the situation. I'm going to give back all the nuggets you've given me and show you where you belong, type scenario.
I'm very torn. Yeah, it makes sense, mate. I just want to quickly say that I'm very torn on the action scenes. Like, most of the show was not about action at all. And then we get some massive action scene at the end. And I felt it had to be there for the sake of it being Marvel and superheroes. And so they have to give us an action scene. But I like the psychological elements of this show, and I felt an action scene wasn't necessarily warranted for a show like this. I did like some of the moments, though, like we had between the two visions when they're talking on the ship of Theseus, which is just fantastic. Every time I just see them debating each other and being, extra, let me see if I can get this word out, philosophical, and and I loved it, and I didn't mind that, but some of it felt over extravagant for the sake of it. because it's Marvel and we have to do it. We've got a budget.
I don't know. See, I didn't, as I said, I'm not saying you guys are wrong. I just didn't feel that it was, I felt like if it was any bigger than what it was, like if you had like, you know, minions coming from another dimension and all, you know, the dead raising, I felt like that would have been a bit much, but I felt like it was very, like Agatha was teaching Wanda, even though she didn't really know she was teaching Wanda. But I mean, like, I felt like a lot of the action she was teaching Wanda about magic, because Wanda had no idea about magic. She had no idea that her powers were based in magic. And just, you know, I felt like it was like her shepherding her or mentoring her almost, and she didn't even realize it.
Okay, let me see if I remembered your username properly. Nefanyahu?
Neff and Joe.
Neff and Joe.
Emphasis
Okay.
on the first syllable. Neff and Joe.
I might just call you. I might abbreviate your name.
I'm Neff.
Okay, no problem. What about yourself? Are you action a big action set piece at the end of this particular season when we had no action at all? Really, was that okay with you? Did you find that satisfying, or were you happy?
I enjoyed it. I think it made up to a nice climactic. You got the big action sequence finally, and it.
We love cats.
Yes, we do, but not when they're licking my plate. Yeah, I thought it, like, obviously this wasn't an action-packed show, but having it all saved for the season finale, just kind of, you had that build-up going in there, and I thought it wrapped up nicely.
Do you feel, though, that every Marvel show we're going to have needs to warrant massive action set pieces on the season finale? I mean, do we have? Is this the route we're going to go down in the future for all our shows?
I think every show does that. I mean, in some way. I mean, there's some climactic.
Yes, but does it have to be a big action-packed bonanza? Can it be different but still climactic? Can it be more psychological? Because a show like this felt very psychological, and I would have loved it if it was more of a battle of wits than a battle of brawn.
Well, and here's an example that I've always used is that as great as the movie The Winter Soldier is, while I was watching it, I felt like the helicarrier sequence at the end was way too overdone, and it was done that way for the sake of it.
It was a stupid sequence.
Exactly. So I mean, I feel like that is more of an empty, and I know why they were doing it, but A, why 3 helicarriers? B, why helicarriers? And C, like, why, you know, this whole movie has been very cerebral political thriller. Why do we have to have a huge action set piece at the end? I understand where people are coming, but I felt like this action set piece at the end was toned down enough because it wasn't huge. I mean, yeah, Wanda and Agatha were flying around and the visions were kind of going back and forth a little bit. And actually their fight ended the way I think it should have, you know, more of a cerebral way. And then the Agatha and Wanda of it all I felt like it wasn't as bombastic as you're thinking. I think it was as you know, actiony as it needed to be because Wanda was using her powers. I don't know. I mean, I could be totally off, but
okay. Well, look, I've got certain things to say about this whole season. So one of the first things I really want to say is it wasn't really Agatha all along, was it?
It was not. Yes, Michelle, I just said something about that earlier.
It wasn't Agatha all along. I mean, she was being mischievous, but it was Wanda all along, with Agatha trying to figure out what the hell's going on, steal her shit and stuff. But it was Wanda all along, for fuck's sake. So what was Agatha doing all along for her to be saying that it was her all along? I'll start with you, Mondino.
See, when it comes to this new kind of storytelling that Marvel is introducing to its audience, we've had the conclusion of 23 films, and now we're kind of getting into a whole new range of characters. And it's like they need something to kind of get people interested. So having the Agatha all along, well, this is kind of her introduction. We know she's going to come back at some point in the future. Don't know how, but now we know her history. We know what she's about. We know what power level. We know what she's going to be able to bring to something in the future. I mean, plot hole. What happened to that goddamn rabbit? That's kind of got me curious too.
Actually, I'm glad you brought that up.
And then
But
having Monica Rambeau and her story being told, and having the introduction of White Vision, it's almost like the MCU has used this as a gateway to the Phase 4, Phase 5, what's potentially looming in Phase 6. And I think this is going to be continued with the Winter Soldier and the new Captain America in their new series starting next week.
well,
So I kind of look.
just sticking with Agatha though, mate. The thing with her is that I think they tried to make her too villainous by making her the person who killed Sparky the dog. I wish she didn't. Yeah, I wish she didn't.
She killed Sparky Zam.
Yeah, but I wish she didn't because I wanted there to be a bit more grey. I wanted her to still maybe come across, as far as Wanda's concerned, as the villain. But I wish, if as an audience, we could see that probably Agatha could arguably be deemed as the hero in this scenario. But no one will think that because she killed fucking Sparky the dog. And if she didn't, then there'll be more of a debate of who the villain is and who the hero is. Because
I mean,
as far
she
as I'm
definitely.
concerned,
You're right. She definitely had selfish ambitions there, I mean, because she was trying to take Wanda's power. But you could make the argument that when she realized what the Scarlet Witch was, she was trying to stop it. But still, at the same time, she was trying to take Scarlet Witch's power, even though she knew that she was a Scarlet Witch.
she mentioned as well regarding the chaos. No, but she mentioned the chaos magic, and she mentioned that she would destroy the world. Yeah, so in a way, she is like as maybe as narcissistic as maybe Agatha is. She doesn't want the fucking world destroyed. She's arguably the hero in this situation, but they made her too villainous by making her a dog killer. The same with Hayward, in my opinion. We need to get Hayward arrested. How the hell are we going to get Hayward arrested? Let's make him shoot at some imaginary kids. That will get him arrested. Hayward should never have got arrested. He should have got away with it and come back as a reoccurring antagonist who keeps putting a spanner in the works when Sorda's trying to do the right thing. He's up the fucking food chain. He's a director. He shouldn't be getting arrested. And I just felt that him shooting at the kids was so out of character. It was so stupid. But what do you guys think? Do you think Agatha was maybe not the villain in this? I'll take it to you, Neff.
Agatha was definitely definitely cast as a villain. Whether the villain or it was the sword guy, the sword guy, the one you were just talking about. They're definitely both shady characters. Agatha was definitely more from a selfish perspective. Selfish. Lest that come across as selfless. Whereas the sword guy is...
ambitious.
Yes, ambitious is a very good word for it.
I'm not trying to interrupt you, just to add to what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like he did mention when he first met Monica when he saw Monica again after the blip in episode 4, because he survived the blip, all the people who would have been in his way to get to where he is were blipped, which is why he ended up being the director. So I think he kind of mentioned that briefly. So yeah, I do believe he is ambitious because he probably would never have got to where he is if other people are around. So he doesn't want to lose that, but he has lost that now, and I feel. Sorry, Ray.
It's almost like he was trying to prove himself. He was
trying to prove himself
because he hadn't done it properly through his actions leading up to it.
Fair enough. Well, sorry, Neff.
As you were saying, it was gifted to him.
Yeah, it was definitely.
I didn't actually have any really strong other thoughts on that. I was kind of rambling at my point, so you came in and saved me and added stuff to it. So
sorry. I last thing I ever want to do is come across as a mansplaining.
No.
I was very self-conscious of that. Anyways, so
I was running out of words. It was okay.
No problem. Okay, well, if I'm gonna keep it with you. Unless Bob, you got anything to say?
Not really. I mean, yeah, like we described it a little bit as last in our review as professional jealousy is what Agatha had. So, I mean, Hayward, the problem with Hayward is that he was very like him shooting at the kids was like, oh, we got to make this guy a villain somehow. Like he was like a shady a-hole for for a lot of the show. But like they're like, oh, we got to push him over that line so he gets arrested at the end, and then shooting the kids. Shooting at the kids, of course, And it's just like I don't. Unless anyone else noticed, I didn't see anything in there that would actually make him be arrested. Like, sure, he doctored the footage.
I agree.
Yeah, like
he lied.
The footage.
He lied about it. Who cares?
Yeah, that's not something he's going to get arrested for. He didn't testify under oath that about Vision.
He's
and
the goddamn director. He's not a private tinkering with files.
Well, and also keep in mind that he's also under Nick Fury. You think Nick Fury doesn't know he had Vision?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. But that's right. I mean, so that's kind of the thing that bugged me about Hayward. Agatha was. I didn't have any issues with Agatha really, besides the fact that I mean, I don't think people can tout her as the hero because now if she saw the power of the Scarlet Witch and then she tried to destroy the Scarlet Witch because she saw the power, but no, she's kept on trying to take the power. So it's like, yeah, she was just selfish,
greed. She was greedy.
Yeah,
I mean, that's why her power kind of like was basically in addition to her personality, she was greedy. She was absorbing stuff and stuff like that. But I did like the way that like the triangle of sides, so to speak, is we had Wanda, Agatha, and Hayward, and all three of them were fucked up people in various ways, and I like that those are the people like we're focusing around, and obviously they have good people around them in Vision, in Monica, and so on. But I did like the fact that the three people were fucked up people, and that's a pretty cool way to do a show. I like seeing these gray area characters, people who don't want to be superheroes, people who have superpowers, and they're just regular people, but you don't want to fuck with them because they might fuck you over. But at the same time, they're not trying to fuck anyone else over, but they might be ambitious with their powers and stuff like that. And from being a superhero, they might want to rule the fucking world. Who knows? It's just so much shit going on. I love it. There's so many avenues to go down.
And honestly, I feel like there were no proper proper good guys. Everything, like, I mean, I get it, like the side characters, like Vision was technically a good guy. Jimmy Woo, Monica Rambeau, like Darcy, like they were all good guys. Wanda definitely had her hand in this. Like, she's not innocent. Like, let's be real. She kept an entire town captive for a month, whether she meant it or not, or a week.
Guilty as fuck, dude. Even when she couldn't handle the pressure of it, when people were having a go at her, isn't
she more naive?
She went angry and ended up strangling people because that's how it reacted. She wanted them to shut up, so her body just manifested them to shut up by strangling them. It's just brilliant. And she didn't mean to do it that way, though.
Slightly differently.
Sorry, mate.
Think she was strangling them. It was more that in that particular scene, Wanda Maximoff is herself feeling the tension of all the people around her. So she's suffocating in that moment, and her power is basically manifesting that on everyone around her.
I agree. It's something along those lines, though, because she's getting so much shit thrown at her. It ends up, falling back on the people around her because she's like a human. She's a human bomb. She's a walking bomb, pretty much.
She is the new Hulk. Like, she is the walking time bomb.
Yeah, exactly. And I love it. I absolutely love it. I'm going to start with you, Neff. Anything in this particular season that really pissed you off?
There were definitely some unanswered questions. Most recently, why was Vision white? Like, I get that they kept taking him apart and putting him back together, but why white?
So they can differentiate, and it's comic book accurate. That
two.
Yeah, go on.
After the philosophical debate that he had with other Vision, and White Vision got his memories back, where did he fly off to? He just kind of flew up off into the sky and never see him again.
Yeah.
Okay.
That I was pretty pissed that we didn't see him for the rest of the episode after that as well.
I was like, maybe he reunites with Wanda eventually. Nope. Wanda's at her cabin alone.
Yeah, for sure. Anything for the season though itself, like the fact that we never found out what happened to the beekeeper, for instance.
Yeah, that's another one. But I know that is Cousin Cheeto's little pet peeve there, so I was going to let him take that one.
Where did the beekeeper go? Like, we don't even, like, he didn't fly out.
Well, apparently some people said that he was the one. I think in the third episode, which was the 70s episode, he was one of the guys selling ice cream. But I think that's been debunked. It was a different actor because they tried to think that was the same guy who was under the beekeeper outfit, but I'm not sure. But I just felt like he ended up just being somewhere in there. But she did rewind time, for fuck's sake. I mean, that was something she did a couple of times, I believe, like edit shit out. You know?
Yeah.
And that really never got explained. So, but I just, it's like Scratchy the Rabbit. It's like, what the fuck's all that about? Like, I thought some people said that was Doctor Strange.
What?
Some people were theorizing that she had Doctor Strange. She had Doctor Strange held hostage, and by manifesting him into Scratchy the Rabbit.
That is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my entire life.
I was thinking, please let that be true. That would be so good.
That would be so dumb.
We finally get the introduction to him. Like, people have been waiting for Doctor Strange to come into the show. Wanda finally beats Agatha, and then as soon as she's defeated, he comes bursting out the cage. Oh, thank you, Wanda. Now let's go and do my movie now.
Wow.
I know it's crazy. Okay, so obviously the beekeeper pissed you off. Anything else, Bob?
Oh, for me, I mean, and I either we've talked off stream or on stream about this. Pietro. Okay, yeah. So I think we've talked on stream about this. So, and I know people probably heard me preaching this to the starry sky, but okay, so this is Iron Man 3 Mandarin levels of bad, because we get this epic reveal. We get Pietro from the Fox universe, and it turns out to be a guy, and it's okay, so it's a guy in the town. Okay, but it turns out his name's Ralph Boner. Like, it's a stupid joke. It is a really, really stupid joke. And there's no pay. Our payoff, and I think I have said this on stream. So if anyone's ever heard this already, I'm sorry, but our payoff to this big reveal of Evan Peters Quicksilver is Ralph Boner. That is our climax to that story arc, or whatever you want to call it. He is a guy. His name is Ralph Boner, and I know, Zam, you have a theory, and I'll let you talk on that.
But I want to go still with you, or what you're saying. It's like they got the WWE writers, for fuck's sake, to put an ending to this particular storyline.
They buried them. They buried the Fox Quicksilver, just like you said.
Yeah, exactly. And I just, anyone who's a wrestling fan, if they've ever seen Vince McMahon and how he works when it comes to bringing in talent from the other companies like TNA and WCW and ECW and anybody else, they tend to get buried in the WWE because they tend to be popular wrestlers. So they let their popular wrestlers who are more established bury these guys so they get hyped up. And that's just what happened here. I felt Evan Peters was absolutely buried. And the MCU could do with a speedster, in my opinion, a proper speedster. And they've got him. I mean, they've got this guy, and there are ways of using him. I've actually come up with a theory, but I don't want to hog up too much time talking about it. Were you pissed off at Mondino when you found out that that this Quicksilver guy was just Ralph Boner?
Actually, no, I didn't mind that at all. Because let's face it, the character is there just to antagonize Wanda, to kind of put her off kilter. And I didn't mind him being a nobody at the end of it, than just the pretend husband next to him.
Okay, but just to stick with
go on.
Fair enough regarding the particular storyline, but weren't you like thinking, holy shit, in episode 5 when you saw Evan Peters walk through the door as Quicksilver?
I mean, I was thinking, ooh, it got my senses, and everything was tingling, going. So is this the kind of a point where they can try and open the gateway to bringing the Fox X-Men characters into the MCU?
Yeah, now,
but at the same time, the fact that they used him just as a kind of a way to kind of put the audience off balance, I was quite fine with that.
I mean, this is not the first time they've teased us about the multiverse and not delivered. We all seen Spider-Man Far From Home, so the MCU has got a precedent of doing this. But we are getting alternative timelines now, and that's for sure. So who knows what's going to happen in the future? But regarding Evan Peters not being Quicksilver, I feel the MCU can rectify this. I have created a video explaining this. I don't want to go into too much detail other than he's the person I believe should be in the witness protection program, which was mentioned by Jimmy Woo earlier in the show. He could be a relative of Wanda Maximoff, like a distant cousin, which is why he ends up keeping these superhero powers he's inherited either through the Hex or through Agatha, probably through Agatha. But because he's a little bit of a Maximoff himself, he's able to keep these powers. And the reason why I believe he's a Maximoff or related to a Maximoff is Vision bought a home there. Because in his android mind, he believes that Wanda will be happier if she was around some family, because all her initial family's dead, and that's how I think an android would think when it came to buying her a home. And that's why I believe he has those. That's why I believe we can make him Quicksilver. We can then use the fact that he's under witness protection as a storyline for him to use his powers against the people who are trying to kill him. You know, it's a good thing. I think we got a thing going there. Anyways, I don't want to yabber on too much about that. So, anything more to say about WandaVision, guys? I'll start with you.
You didn't ask Neff about her thoughts on Pietro.
I'm sorry, Neff. I do apologize.
That is fair. So I didn't even know who. I'm sure that at some point in my life I have seen the Fox X-Men movies. I did not immediately recognize him as Fox's version of Quicksilver. Once Cousin Cheeto explained that, I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. And I could kind of see why all the other like hardcore fans were getting all excited about that, but I did not personally have that connection. So I did not feel personally disappointed when it ended with Ralph Boner.
Okay, fair enough.
It was stupid.
Were you aware of the massive nerdgasm going around the universe when we all saw
I was clued into that.
Yeah,
yes.
Fair enough. So you can understand the theories galore that came out from that, because I just want to talk about the theories a little bit. I think a lot of theories that have made its way through YouTube and stuff and people have been digesting on is obviously bullshit. But when you throw Evan Peters, who played Quicksilver in this show, and it's not a fucking theory, he's fucking physically there, he's fucking pretending to be we found out he was pretending to be Pietro, but nevertheless he's running around really fast, he's got silver hair, for fuck's sake. What are fans supposed to think? You know what I mean? What are fans supposed to think when you put it like that? Especially when you've been teasing multiverse and all of that shit. Do you think Disney got it wrong when it came to not paying this off? Or do you think they're trying to teach us a lesson and say, okay, look, I know you guys are, getting massive boners over fucking Fox characters possibly coming in because we own the X-Men franchise, but we're not doing that shit, and we're going to bury these people. If anything, if Jane McAvoy comes in the MCU, he's probably just going to clean a road or something. He ain't going to do shit. This is how I feel they might be treating those actors and those characters. What do you guys think? Do you think they're not going to bring anyone from the Fox universe, actors wise, into the MCU? I'll start with you, Bob. You're on mute. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I had to unmute my thing. No, if they, I would much rather them not include them at all. I agree
with you, by the way.
If they're gonna bring especially McAvoy and Fassbender as Xavier and Magneto, if they're going to bring any of those characters in, especially the good ones like that, like, then don't bring them in. Don't make them a joke. You're right. If that was the lesson to be learned from Feige to us, lesson learned. Okay, okay. We don't want the Fox people because you're just going to mistreat them. And there were some good characters in the Fox movies, like as I said, Fassbender and McAvoy, the guy who plays Beast. I can't remember the actor's name. Even some of the
Nicholas Hoult.
Yeah.
But let's just be real. They wouldn't do this to Hugh Jackman, would they?
Oh, heck no.
They would never do this to Hugh Jackman. I mean, if anything, they would love Hugh Jackman to maybe be 10 years younger, so you could because he's been playing Wolverine for about 20 years, and he's been trying to maintain an ageless person for about maybe 15, 16 years. Yeah, so it's amazing how good of a condition that he's in, and it's a shame that he isn't ageless, because I would love to see him play Wolverine for a little bit longer, but they can't incorporate him because there's no longevity with him. He's going to look too old, in 5-6 years for sure.
I mean, they could always do Old Man Logan and Multiverse.
But do we really want him to be introduced as Old Man Logan? Don't we want some of the prime Wolverine in this MCU?
Yeah, I agree.
So in a way, I guess, it probably means that we're not going to get Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Would you agree to that too?
I feel like maybe if they did a Secret Wars, we might get a Hugh Jackman Wolverine as Old Man Logan. But I agree. I mean, no, are they going to bring him back as like the MCU Wolverine? No, I don't think they will. Fair
enough. So, regarding this particular season, is there anything which is standing out for yourself? I'll start with you, Mandina.
Standing out in what way?
Anything that impressed you? Anything that made you go, oh, shit? Obviously, Evan Peters is one thing, but let's try and think of something else.
Well, the one thing that kind of threw me at the end was when we see Wanda there on the porch, and then we get the camera panning through and revealing her internal state, learning from the Darkhold. I suddenly thought back to myself and went, hold on a second. Anytime we've ever seen an out-of-body experience, the physical body has always been comatose in some way. Thinking back to the Hulk, when he was talking to the Sorcerer Supreme, you got the Hulk body in the background, and Mark Ruffalo's having a chat, and I suddenly went, hold on a second. This doesn't seem right. What is this kind of pointing at for the future?
She's more powerful.
Early stages. Well, I mean, Agatha says so, but it's kind of like, how powerful are they planning to make her in the future, and kind of which direction are they going to take that in? That to me was kind of like, ooh, this is going to be an interesting.
I got an explanation for that, by the way.
Something crucial towards the end of Phase 5, or is she going to be crucial at the end of Phase 4? And that was kind of like, that kind of got my senses, or my juices going, so to speak.
See, I've got a reason regarding how she was able to, her body was able to move about, because obviously she is more powerful. She's the most powerful person in the universe, maybe. So she's able to, in a way, when she's able to put her spirit self outside of her body is still active, but it's just doing the things to keep the body going, like, get the fresh air, have coffee, feed itself, while she's studying the books and stuff like that.
Well, that's her astral form. That's from Dr.
Yeah. Sorry, I was trying to think of the word. I couldn't think of astral form. Yeah, that was it. Exactly, from Doctor Strange. But before, like, the body couldn't move, could it? It was only the astral form that could. But in this particular case, because Wanda's so powerful, she's still able to keep her body going by it taking fresh air, as I said earlier, drinking coffee, eating food, and stuff like that. So that's what I think was happening. We're just seeing a more powerful version. She's more powerful than the Sorcerer Supreme. Agnes said it herself. So,
well, it also said that she will be more powerful. Maybe not right now, but she will be more powerful than the Sorcerer Supreme. Is what I gathered from it.
I just want to say what stood out for me the most was the amazing acting range of Elizabeth Olsen. She was absolutely fantastic in this show. I don't think I've ever been so blown away by a multitude of performances she had to give, because she was playing people from different eras, and she had to show a wider range of emotions, and a wide range of emotions. And she just pulled it off so magnificently. She is an amazing actress. And it's hard to believe that her sisters are Mary Kate and Ashley. It really is. It's hard to believe that, she's it's funny because she was always probably known as Mary Kate and Ashley's sister. Now it's the other way around. Now they're the sisters of Elizabeth Olsen. But who cares about them? Elizabeth Olsen is just like brilliant. And I think now she's one of the biggest stars in Marvel, in the MCU, without a doubt. I think she's going to definitely. I mean, they're talking about giving her own, season 2 of WandaVision. I don't know how they're going to do that and how that's going to materialize, but they'll definitely. Okay, but they'll definitely need to give this character a movie. She's just too popular right now. She absolutely is. Okay, what about yourself, Neff? Elizabeth Olsen, do you think she was great?
Oh yeah. I don't have a problem with any of the actors anytime ever. I was thinking about it. Another unanswered thing is the alien who was talking to Monica at the end and was just pointing like, "I've got a friend up there," and I'm assuming that was a reference to the the floating shield base.
The sword
And
base,
Nick Fury.
Yeah.
But
I stupidly thought she meant Captain Marvel, but I misheard he for she. So I stupidly thought that. But then everyone else was going Nick Fury. I thought, of course. Yeah, obviously Nick Fury. So there's a nice little spin-off there as well. Monica getting her powers. Do you find it a bit weird that Monica got her powers and she didn't even realize? I mean, she didn't even realize or make a big deal that bullets went through her body. And
yeah, that was a little bit like, okay, so you went from seeing electricity or seeing some sort of spectrum of power to being able to make yourself phase through. What?
Yeah, I know.
When did you learn to control this power exactly?
Yeah, I know. What about yourself, Bondino?
When it came to Monica Rambeau, it's almost like her powers were reactionary. It was almost like it's Wanda at the beginning where she didn't know how to use her own powers. And I kind of feel that we're going to get more development later on, maybe in Captain Marvel 2 or something like that.
Yeah, but don't you think she should have but she had bullets go through her body? I mean, she's acting like, this shit happens to her every day. I can to a degree, granted, say that she didn't realize she had powers when Wanda threw her to the ground. She just maybe thought she landed well or whatever. Yeah, I mean, that was in episode 8, I believe, when Wanda grabbed her in the air and threw her to the ground. So I can give a benefit of doubt, but she just tried to stop bullets with her body, and as Neff said, like, what the hell? Like,
don't forget that happened just after she discovered she had super speed and kind of followed bullets, and you can see on her face she kind of surprised.
Yeah, she followed it. Yeah, exactly. She saw that, but that's why she was able to, in my opinion, overpower Ralph Boner, because she's got super speed too, as well as other powers. Because when she saw the bullet go past her, the bullet was going in slow motion, which probably means she has super speed. Yeah, so that's my theory on her and how she disarmed Ralph Boner as well. But yeah, what a stupid name that was. Were you impressed by because if you look at episode 1 and then you look at episode 8, you see like 2 totally different shows. Were you engrossed from the beginning, Neff?
Not quite from the beginning, because I didn't really get the whole like sitcom aspect of it.
Yeah.
Particularly 60s sitcom, 50s, 50s or 60s, whatever it was originally set as. But and then it started going through the decades. I'm like, okay. And then once we finally got Monica's side of it, of what was going on the outside, is like, okay, now it's clicking together, but still not necessarily how we jump from one decade to another so rapidly or with no reason, really. Just, oh, new episode, new decade. Okay.
New day, new decade.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I mean, from my perspective, I knew going into the show that it was going to be a mind fuck. It was going to be very confusing. But as long as I was going to get the answers eventually, I was happy to go for the ride. So when we saw the first episode, it's in black and white, and pretty much the only thing that kind of made you realize what the hell's going on here is when Vision was in his office and he tells his mate, "What do we do here? Exactly do we do here?" Yeah, and he made you realize what the hell's going on. And also when his boss was choking and his wife is going, stop it. That's all she's saying. And she's actually really pleading with it, with Wanda, but she's so under this character that she can't break out from it, if you know what I mean. So she's just saying, stop it. And then, you realize there's something going on here. More of that appears in the second episode. And obviously more of that, it branches out even further with the third episode with Geraldine, Monica's Geraldine, mentioning Ultron and Wanda losing her shit and blasting her out of the fourth wall. I'm not sure if you guys picked up on that, which was pretty cool. But yeah, I loved the revelations. Now, were you expecting more out of this ending of the show? Because people were expecting all types of stuff. I was expecting Doctor Strange to show up. I was hoping for maybe a surprise cameo, like maybe Hawkeye will show up because he's got a decent relationship with Wanda. Somebody like that, maybe even Old Man Cap, because he had a decent relationship with Wanda too. Somebody who could get to Wanda, who is an Avenger, so to speak, because she is an Avenger herself, and one of the Avengers has gone rogue, for fuck's sake. So rogue that she's taken over a town. So were you surprised that we didn't see an Avenger in this show? I'll start with you, Mondino.
I don't think I was surprised at all, because I kind of look at it and this is its own little bubble, its own little capsule, and it was always going to kind of give you a taste or wanting for the next thing. And I feel like if you brought in like an old Avenger or someone to kind of try and talk her down, it might have taken away from that building to the next thing.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, because we saw the Scarlet Witch reveal. That would have easily been overshadowed if Doctor Strange showed up. So I can understand that. Like, her becoming the Scarlet Witch needed nothing else to take away from that. So what about yourself, Neff, though? Were you expecting maybe some Avengers to show up at some point?
I like to watch things as they are, and so I don't necessarily watch trailers or go in with particular expectations. I like to experience it as a new thing and a surprise, so I'm constantly surprised by it, and I don't build up all these expectations. So I literally had no expectations going in. I had no idea what was going on. I don't watch all the theories or everything online. There was definitely some spaces I could have seen for a cameo, like when Monica was requesting equipment from someone, and there was definitely some theories like, oh, well, this could be a good opportunity for Hulk to come in because he was a physicist and could be up his alley. But we didn't even know who she contacted. Just she got this, basically, what was it?
Just
rover?
a regular, just a woman, just some member of Sword. But
Yeah.
but I'm not sure if you saw on YouTube at all, like the theories that came out of that alone. People were saying all types of people. We had Reed Richards, we had Hank McCoy, we had it all. Some people said, even I threw some names in the hat. Like I said, it could be the Falcon because he was we're looking for an aerospace engineer. Now, I know the Falcon's a bit of a long shot, but he does fly around and stuff, and I'm sure he knows how to tinker with that equipment, which is aerospace engineering sort of equipment he's using. It could be Rhodey as well, War Machine. There's all types of people were theorizing, and it ended up being nobody. And I'm totally fine with that, because I never really paid attention too much about the fact that she was calling a friend to come over. It was only mentioned a couple of times. They never really made a big deal of it, but everybody, on social media was fucking going on about it like shit. It could be anybody special, but it ended up being nobody. So, but
was
at
it
least
a real nobody or pretend nobody?
Well, some people are saying that the person.
I can't think it's a shapeshifter. What's the name of the species off the top of my head?
Yeah, the Skrulls.
At the end of the episode, I've got a guy.
Yeah, but not that person, Ray. We're talking in the middle of the season when she was looking for an aerospace engineer. She mentioned she's got an aerospace engineer, and that was the person who hooked her up with that bloody space wagon, that moon buggy to try and get inside the Hex. Well, that person ended up just being a member of SWORD, we believe. Some people are saying that member of SWORD is not the real person. That was just the person who delivered the space wagon to Monica. It's really somebody else who's still Reed Richards or some shit like that. But what we ended up seeing was just this regular SWORD member. Nobody, not even somebody from the comics at all in any capacity. So yeah, it ended up being a big letdown for a lot of people, but that's because they made a big deal out of it. Unlike Evan Peters, which was the big cameo of the show, in my opinion. Out of all the big special names, he was the one. He came mid-season. That's how it is, and unfortunately, they buried him. So that's what they do. That's how it is. Okay, so I mentioned that in particular regarding the particular. Sorry, I'm getting all tongue twisted here. Regarding the particular episodes, what do you think of some of the Fringe characters, who came back from all the other films within the MCU, like Jimmy Woo, like Darcy, like an older Monica Rambeau? We'll start with Monica, actually. You think she ended up having a good origin story in this, Neff?
I liked it, yeah. And with her powers, I don't know if she is a particular character from any of the comic books. I didn't grow up with the whole comic book back. Okay. Yeah. I didn't grow up with that whole background, so I'm just kind of experiencing it new as MCU presents it. So I like it. There's obviously some sword shield history there with her mom, and again, I wouldn't have known that unless they told us that. So kind of excited to see where her character goes and how Marvel ends up bringing her back, since she is talking to presumably Nick Fury.
Presumably. Well, she's gonna what a lot of people are saying, and we're talking the more respectable news outlets, is that she'll be in Captain Marvel too. I think the actress herself has mentioned that as well. But I also would like to see her maybe in Secret Invasion, because it's to do with the Skrulls, and she does have a link with the Skrulls. I was a bit gutted that the Skrull who came up to her wasn't the Skrull she was friends with as a kid. That would have been a nice moment. They could have had a hug and embraced and talked about talking on the stairs and shit like that when they were younger. I think they missed a trick there, Marvel. But yeah, so what about yourself?
Oh, it's over my head.
No problem. Mondino, what about yourself? What do you think of Monica Rambeau as a character as well as her origin?
I mean, I enjoy the origin storytelling. I mean, there wasn't really a lot to work with, because in the Captain Marvel film, Monica Rambeau is just this really hyper and energetic child.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, to see her come into it via the blip, and you kind of get to see this kind of journey from her missing her mother's death, and then kind of you
that was fucked, man. Yeah.
And then you meet her in the Hex initially, and you don't really know what she's about, and it's just like the people in how it's kind of going, she doesn't belong here. And all of those kind of twists and turns, I found it was a great way to kind of bring the character in. But at the same time, I feel like they've left a lot of development for the movies. So they've just given us kind of this taste. And I kind of feel like it's just enough to whet the appetite to get us back in the cinema when
these are the new
to the indoors.
I mean, they're creating all these new characters now to take over from Tony, from Steve. You know, these guys are gone. You know, Bruce Banner. I'm not sure like how much Mark Ruffalo's got. Thor's going to be more off-world. I think Thor's going to be doing more.
They're going to keep Thor in after Love and Thunder.
I think so. I think Hemsworth. I think Hemsworth will stick with this because I think he'll age with his character and he'll end up being like an old man Thor, you know, eventually. And I think he'll stick with this particular character. I can't see him going. I really can't. You know, they made exceptions for the others. Totally understandable, but it made no sense. Just because they're retiring doesn't mean he has to. He's playing a god, for Christ's sake. He can go on for a lot longer. And there's a lot more stories as well. But I do believe, you know, we will see him in an Avengers film. He is one of the few top tier Avengers left. Who do you think is the leader of the Avengers right now? Just to go on a little tangent here. In my opinion, it would be Bruce Banner. What about you guys? Neff?
Last one we saw was Endgame. This is the first Marvel content we've had since Endgame, right?
Yeah. No. It was actually Spider-Man Far From Home.
Oh, right. Yeah, Far From Home, because they all came back from the blip.
Yeah.
And then we have this.
But Captain America was pretty much the leader, possibly Tony Stark as well to a degree. And with them both gone, Black Widow dead as well, and she would probably be the third in charge, in my opinion. Clint Barton's retired. That really leaves Thor and
Falcon, hasn't it? Falcon. I mean, they did the handing over of the shield. It's kind of because Cap would have been.
Well, yeah, for the Falcon, yeah, but he's not part of the original six. The original six that are still left. You know, we've got two of them dead, 2 of them retired. Yeah, and one of them's on another, is not even on Earth. That just leaves Bruce Banner. So I just feel out
the handing of the torch being the handing of the torch and the shield being handed from Cap.
Yeah, but that's just the title of Captain America. Doesn't mean that he's the leader. You know, he might. You know, I don't think he warrants being the leader of the Avengers as well.
They're probably build him up.
Yeah, he needs to earn his. He still needs to earn his stripes because he just got the shield. The guy doesn't even have superpowers, for Christ's sake. You know, I don't know what you think regarding that. Are you guys looking forward? Actually, before I want to keep talking about these. Sorry, I do apologize. I want to keep talking about these characters. We're just briefly talking about Monica Rambeau and the origin stories, Bob. I'm not sure how you felt that went in this particular show.
I thought it went good. I mean, they spent the proper amount of time on it. I mean, you know, she didn't really have the moment where she like full-fledged used her powers. But I feel like if they would have done that, I feel like that would have overshadowed Scarlet Witch's, like, because this we said this before, but this show was the Scarlet Witch's origin story, not Wanda Maximoff. Scarlet Witch's origin story. So
yeah, fair enough.
So I think that if Photon would have, which is what her comic book name is, if Photon would have had her origin story in this episode or this series as well, it would have not overshadowed, but it would have taken away from the Scarlet Witch's origin story. So I'm kind of glad they hinted at it, but they didn't like go full-fledged Photon, you know, with all.
I think she did have an origin story personally. She just doesn't know that she's so bloody powerful.
Yeah.
You know, she hasn't come to realize. I think when it comes to, like, when I say origin story in the sense that she's got her powers now it's just about her doing shit with it.
Well, that's what I meant. Like, it's not, you know, when I say origin story, like getting the super suit and having your heroic moments and everything like that, you know, like with Wanda, it's like, yeah,
she did have that. not the super suit, but she had a prototype to it, and she had her heroic moments when she became a human shield for those kids.
Yeah, well, but they made it very low key. So
yeah, I agree.
But that's it.
Fair enough. So, what about Jimmy Woo? I'm going to start with you. I loved how he started, but the fact that he became less and less relevant as the show went on really pissed me off. He's very, I don't know what it is about him. I find him very endearing. I really do. And I like his comic, like his style of comedy, which is very deadpan, and how he adds it to this. But he even though the character Jimmy Woo is not like Randall Park, he's a bit more optimistic. You know, he's a very nice character, and I love to see what they'll do with him. He might be, for me, he's the new Coulson of the MCU. You like that, Bob?
I was gonna say that. Like, so I agree 100%. He is the new saga, whatever this saga is. He is the Coulson of this new saga.
Exactly. And I think Monica mentioned, that when he was in charge, it looked good on him when he was like telling the soldiers to take away Hayward and all that shit. So he looks like he's got a position of authority. I could imagine him being in Sword as well. It'd be good to see more of Jimmy Woo. Do you think he'll get his own show? I'll start with you, Neff.
I don't even know what all shows are currently on the slate for this next phase of Marvel. I look at them as they come out. And again, I don't really necessarily watch trailers ahead of time. So they can do whatever they want, and I'm going to watch it.
Do you like Jimmy Woo?
I liked him, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I recognized the actor from somewhere else, but I could not place him at all.
I'm about to say you don't remember him from Ant-Man. He was the cop from the Ant-Man films.
That might be it.
Yeah, because so before I pass it on to you, Ray, when he first introduces himself to Monica, he flicks out his business card. He does like a card trick. He flicks it out because he wanted to learn the card trick from Scott Lang, aka Ant-Man. So he finally learnt the card trick, which was pretty cool. So we saw a character arc just from that card trick, which was amazing. I love it. It was really good. Mondino, what about yourself? Did you like Jimmy Woo?
I thought the character Jimmy Woo was awesome. I have to disagree with yourself and Cousin Cheeto on the Coulson kind of comparison, because they've used him throughout all the MCU films and now in this TV series as more of light comedy relief, and also kind of they use him to do exposition to kind of clue the audience into what's going on around. Whereas you look at Coulson and the films, and then in the bastardized TV series where he's more of the heart and soul, and I didn't get that from the Wu character. Does that make sense?
I just want to. Well, see, I know what you're getting at, but what I'm trying to say is I'm not trying to compare him to Coulson. I'm saying he's taken the crown of Coulson. Like, he'll fill his shoes now. I'm happy for him in the future to fill that role as that good, decent human being officer guy that you can always rely on. He will be that person. Jimmy, as far as I'm concerned, Phil Coulson's dead. I don't give a fuck about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He's dead, yeah. So Jimmy Woo
around different.
Yeah, but I'm not saying, look, he's not a clone of. He's not a clone. He's not the clone of Coulson. Yeah, look, he's not the clone of Coulson, dude. He's not
in so many things.
Yeah, but look, I'm not saying
Jimmy
that.
Woo is more just in the Ant-Man realm,
Jimmy Woo. Look, I'm pissed off Bob here. Look, I understand. Look, I'm just saying regarding the position that he's in. Regarding the position that he's in right now, I think he's a good person to fill the role of Coulson, because he fits certain parameters. Regarding what Coulson did as a personality, who cares? I'm not too fussed about that. But the parameters he does fill is that he is a reliable person on Earth who's similar to Coulson in that aspect. And other than that, there's not many other people who could fill that role because Coulson is dead. On to you, Cousin Cheeto.
How dare you talk ill of Bill? Son of a bitch.
Look, it's no longer canon anymore. For Christ's sake, the Book of the Damned was in Agent of Shield, and now it's all of a sudden it's ended up here. For Christ's sake,
And it looks completely different, and that's one of the plot holes. I'm kind of like, but I've always said Agents of Shield is except for maybe the first and maybe the second. Well,
we couldn't even answer the blip, for Christ's sake.
Season, that's really not canon anymore. I mean, I agree, but don't you dare speak ill of our Phil, okay?
Fair enough.
Hugo Strange called. He wants his gimmick back, Sam.
I've already asked you about Jimmy Woo, haven't I? Yeah. So okay, fine. So finally on to Darcy. Once again, Darcy was somebody who came in, and she wasn't really that much of a popular character prior to this. I think she was very forgettable, to so to speak. She was more of a supporting cast to the supporting cast, but I think she came into her own in this show, and it's really unfortunate that she ended up vanishing into nothing, into one moment of crashing a car into bloody Haywood, was absolutely ridiculous. Such a disservice to her character as well. And once again, we got an arc with her because she was just a student back in the time when she was working under Natalie Portman's character, and now she's a doctor.
I feel like Sword is the place she should be, because I mean she's an astrophysicist. Sword is like space kind of. So it's like I feel like I feel like she should have stuck around, and then she should have been with Monica when they went to go talk to the Skrull at the end. I
agree. Do you think? Natalie Portman's going to be in Thor: Love and Thunder. You think Darcy will be in Thor: Love and Thunder?
I don't think so. I think we're done with Darcy in the Thor movies. I feel like Darcy should honestly, as I said, expand out into different parts of the MCU, the Sword, show up as a a sword scientist, an astrophysicist, just like Selvig and Thor.
I would like to see her in Secret Wars.
Yeah, Secret Wars would be a great place for her to show up again.
That'll be a good place for her as well, and then she could bump into Monica again as well, and they can have their moments, so that'll be pretty good. How about yourself, Neff? Darcy.
I love Darcy. I thought she was familiar from somewhere, and Thor would have been it.
Yeah. What do you like about Darcy?
I like her personality. She's snarky. I like it.
Yeah, I like the way when we first see her in the show, that she's in that van and she's trying to talk to people, and then that square guy says we're not supposed to talk to each other, and when he finally tells her what he does, he goes, nobody cares. I loved it so much, and Bob here, I remember, had a problem with her being a hacker. This woman can't have more than one talent, No.
Hold on. I was saying that, okay, she's an astrophysicist. How is she able to hack one of the most secure agencies probably in the world? Because Sword is like the space version of S.H.I.E.L.D. How is an astrophysicist who has not been a lifelong hacker able to hack through a firewall by Sword, which is a super mega organization? That was my issue. Not that she can't be a hacker per se.
Her education was almost done in a rogue sort of capacity. You know what I mean? So, working under Jane. So
they felicitied her really easily. I'm just saying.
I have no problem with her being badass with computers. It's totally fine, as far as I'm concerned. I'm glad that she could hack it. It gave her more use for the team. You know what I mean? She was she was the girl in the chair, so to speak, of that show. I mean, she figured out that they needed to use old school TVs in order to find out what was happening inside the Hex. She named it the Hex, for fuck's sake. She had her moments in this show, and it's like I said, it's a real shame. She just bailed. For fuck's sake, how can she just bail? How is that possible? You know what I mean? Did you find that weird that she just bailed? Someone like her?
I think it kind of fits her personality.
Yeah, but in the real life, you can't just bail, can you?
Well, this isn't real life, is it?
I know, but it's like we're talking about a top, like I just I want to talk about real life here because going back to Hayward, making him a villain for the sake of it was one of the most stupidest things they could do here with the writing. Like I said, they've done it with Agatha. They had to make sure that she was proper villain. There was no if, buts, or maybes. Yeah, so sorry, I'm losing my train of thought here. So there's no if, buts, or maybes by her killing the dog, and they've done that with Hayward. Do you feel like next time when they start doing these shows, but we've got Baron Zemo now coming in Falcon and Winter Soldier, these villains, they don't have to do these sort of things to make sure that we know they're a villain by making them kill a dog, for fuck's sake. You know what I mean? Do you think that's what... Anyway, look, I'm yabbering on too much. I do apologize. Maybe we should just wrap this up. What do you guys say?
I've given all my thoughts. Whatever.
Yep. No problem. Mondino, you got anything more to say?
There's only one thing I want to add.
Yeah, please do.
It was to do with Vision.
Yeah, go on.
One thing that got me was how did they manage to put it back together, and how did they manage to figure out that the power source was going to be Wanda's energy that was going to spark him back to life? That was something that kind of was like didn't gel well with me.
A couple of things on that. First of all, we saw in the flashbacks in episode 8 where we realized that she never stole the body, that in a way Hayward kind of manipulated Wanda to try and go there to try and maybe start up Vision, but that never happened. But they kind of struck gold when Wanda threw back that drone because it still had her energy on it, and somehow they decided to let's just give this a shot. Maybe this will power up the Vision.
And put it together.
I don't know.
There was no other. That was the thing that when you were asking things that you didn't like about it, that was the only thing that wasn't explained or kind of explored in any way, shape, or form. It was more, all right, we're just gonna pick this one out of thin air and run with it.
Yeah, well, I found it amazing that within a few days they were able to put Vision's body back together again and turn it white. I don't know why it ended up being white, if it was a spray paint job, but I will say Paul Bettany's I do know it's the West Coast Avenger, but I have to say that Paul Bettany's acting to portray two different versions of Vision that felt both like Vision were fantastic. I don't know what it is, but he did something with his mouth that felt his mouth looked different with the white Vision to the purple Vision. He had like a different, his lips looked different. I'm not sure if you guys noticed that.
I felt like his whole demeanor was different. Like, like he had more of like, as Vision, he had like his chin out. Like as the regular Vision, he had his chin out and it was more, this. But then as White Vision, his head was always kind of down like this, and it more felt like he was glaring. I noticed that on my second watch. So I mean, I don't. That probably has something to do with it. But no, Paul Bettany, man, he knocked it out of the park because I believed it was two different Visions, but they were both Vision. Like it's really weird. But he just did a fantastic job, in my opinion.
I'm sorry for prolonging this, but I wanted to bring up Vision actually because he was the one person I was forgetting to talk about. What the hell is he going to be doing? Where do you think he's going to be going, Bob?
I think he's going to try to figure himself out, and we'll see him again when he runs into Wanda again. I don't know if it'll be in Doctor Strange. It might be in another. Maybe if they do WandaVision season 2, I don't think they're planning on a WandaVision season 2.
It's been rumored, but nothing's been.
The episode was literally titled the series finale. Like it was called
series finale. Yeah.
It was called the series finale, not the season finale.
Yeah, but they can just rename this episode in the future and call it season finale.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, I feel like this is a one and done. I feel like they've said everything they need to say. And yes, you could bring Wanda and Vision back together and do some different kind of thing. You obviously can't do the whole time period X hijinks through the eras of time. You can't do that again. I mean, you could bring them together and they could have a separate adventure through the multiverse or whatever. But honestly, I feel like they've kind of done what they needed to do with Wanda in this movie.
They are getting back together again, though, aren't they?
Oh yeah, they're definitely going to come back together. I mean,
Happy ending for them too.
I hope, huh?
I mean, eventually, is it gonna like they can't just make up and break up all the fucking time? Something's got to.
Well, I feel like, as I said, eventually Vision will be drawn back to Wanda. Those two are always drawn together, and as weird as it sounds on paper, it is perfect within the MCU. And I don't, as I said, when I first heard about Wanda and Vision in Age of Ultron, and I saw it, and I'm like, that's so weird. Now I can't see them sharing a screen and not like there not being something there. This isn't Hulk and Black Widow like in Age of Ultron. This is like something far better.
I'm calling it right now. We're going to see him next in Armor Wars. That's my money. My money's on that. I don't think he'll be in Multiverse of Madness. I think there's so much shit going on. I feel throwing him in, even as a cheap ass Easter egg, will be a disservice to him and Wanda together. So I think we need to see him and Wanda apart before we see them together. So I do feel that we're going to see him at Armor War next. I feel the fact that Rhodey has known Vision since he was Jarvis plays a role here. I think the fact that he paralyzed him plays a role here. I just think there's something that could happen.
I don't think that's a terrible idea, Zam. Actually, I didn't even think about that. So I don't think that's terrible. I think him showing back up apart from Wanda in Armor Wars is actually probably the best case scenario for now. And then maybe them meeting Wanda and Vision meeting back up in the next.
Well, the reason as well is that the premises for Armor Wars is that a lot of Tony Stark's tech is either being sold on the black market or sold between certain governments and shit like that. And Rhodey's trying to retrieve it. And what bigger piece of tech is there than Vision? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I've also said that if they do a Fantastic Four film, I would love to see him play the antagonist, like a Silver Surfer antagonist for the Fantastic Four to deal with, because Reed Richards is the smartest person in the MCU, in Marvel Comics. He's the most intelligent of all of them. He's more intelligent Banner. He's more intelligent than fucking Tony. He's more intelligent than fucking Cheru. So I would love to see him think to himself, I'd love to see how Vision works and stuff like that. But Vision ends up being an antagonist, and it takes all four of them to deal with him. You know what I mean? No, not feeling that. Okay, fair enough. All right, I want to wrap this shit up. You guys got anything more to say? We'll be speaking about Vision, but if you guys want to close this up and let me know, Mondino, you got anything to say?
Nah, I think we've explored it.
No problem, Neff.
Nope. Well, you did mention like how did they manage to get him put back together in a few days? Not only did they get him put back together, but when they had the drone that had Wanda's power, the technician specifically said, like, we've taken him apart and put him back together so many times, we know exactly how he works. So they obviously didn't just struggle to put him back together. They got it completely nailed down and did it several times.
I was about to say they did it. They I feel like over the course of 5 years since the battle in Wakanda and Infinity War, I feel like they had plenty of time. I don't think this is something, and honestly, I wouldn't put it past Haywood at this point to have pulled Vision apart in anticipation of Wanda coming to look for him. And setting that whole thing up, like that whole table sequence was set up. It wasn't like they were in the middle of research. They were in the middle of pulling him apart because they knew Wanda was coming eventually to claim his body.
I want to add as well, this decaying vibranium, I found that really stupid. I don't know about you guys. Decaying vibranium, what the fuck? Who thought that was a good idea?
And I mean, even at a very, very slow rate, everything's decaying.
Not vibranium. Vibranium's supposed to be the fucking be all and end all. You know what I mean?
Chemistry. It's basic chemistry. You smile and nod.
Okay, fair enough. All right.
She would know. She would know. Trust me.
Fair enough. Okay.
I'm a chemist.
Fair enough. No problem. All right. Well, I think we're done here. Well, Cousin Gio, Neff, and Mondino, thank you very much for this debate. We have spoken a lot about this particular show. Now, the next thing we need to look forward to is Falcon and Winter Soldier with the Justice League as well, going on for 4 weeks alongside that show. which would be fascinating. You guys looking forward to that? Falcon Winter Soldier, Neff?
All MCU.
Yeah. What about Justice League Snyder Cut?
I am less into the DC universe as it is much less cohesive. The best thing about the MCU is the integral. It is actually a cinematic universe,
Done well.
and they do it so well, and everything ties together.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I just like the characters from both comic books. I've like no dog in the fight on either side. Unfortunately, Warner Brothers is just making shit, which is unfortunate. Yourself, Mondina, you looking forward to Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
I'm more interested in the Snyder Cut.
Ah, why is that?
I really want to see what Snyder had in his darker vision of the DCEU, because for me, Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, they were very dark films, and they were doing the opposite to the MCU, which is very bright and colourful and jokey. And then suddenly to have the Justice League turned into the MCU, as they pulled in a different director halfway through, I kind of felt like the whole thing was thrown together cheaply and badly. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what the original vision was.
I don't know who I've mentioned this to before, but I've always wanted to see a film made by entirely the same crew, cast, and everyone, but just with a different director. So the same film made twice with the same cast and everything else, but a different director on both occasions. Yeah, and see how the film pans out. And this is as close as ever going to get to that experiment, as far as I'm concerned, because we've got a lot of Joss Whedon adding his shit to the mix, and now we're getting the original Snyder cut. So it'll be interesting to see how this film pans out. I just hope it's not so dark I have to adjust my settings. How about yourself, Bob, before we sign out here? Falcon Winter Soldier Snyder cut. You looking forward to that shit?
Absolutely. I love Falcon and Winter. Like, I love the premise. I love Captain America. He's my favorite Avenger. And I love the idea of, you know, the story of passing the shield, as well as US Agent coming in and Baron Zemo being the villain. I think this is going to be as long as they don't, you know, as long as they don't Ralph Boner it, I think it's going to be a great, it's going to be my favorite series. I think I'm going to like it more than WandaVision, truth be told, but that's only because of the characters that are involved.
I'm just really hoping it's good. Because I feel like, I think some people were on the fence on WandaVision before it came out and never realized how good it would be. I think a lot of people are expecting Falcon and Winter Soldier to be good. I'm worried because of that, because they're expecting it to be good anyway. But I don't think everyone was expecting WandaVision to be as good as it was. You know, so I just hope for that reason Falcon and Winter Soldier and is good. What about the Snyder cut? You looking forward to that?
We'll see. I mean,
parts.
I was okay with the original version of Justice League. I know a lot of people hated it. I didn't hate it. I didn't think it was fantastic.
It was a mess. It was a
but
mess.
I mean, I'm sorry. Like, everybody had issues with Snyder's vision for the Justice League, with Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and now everybody's clamoring for this Snyder cut of Justice League. Please, y'all are just you guys don't even.
I mean, look, don't get me wrong. I'm just wanting some more Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman. I just want more of that, you know, in any capacity. And this is an interesting way of getting more of that. We're getting a different version of the same fucking film. You know, that's quite a remarkable thing.
Yep.
You think?
Well, as it gets closer, maybe we can do a video on that. That's a little bit, you know, more focused on that.
No problem. All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone. It's been a pleasure talking to you all, and it's been a really good debate. So thank you very much for everyone else who's watching online, and bye-bye.